Hi there, welcome back to Author Journey. My name is CJ Anaya. Today I'm going to answer a question that I was asked on Quora by someone anonymous, but I thought it was a really good question and I wanted to make a YouTube video about it just in case anyone has questions about attributes or traits that fictional characters have. And this question was, why is being headstrong a desirable trait in fictional characters? And the simple short answer is no one likes a pushover, especially in their protagonists. So no one likes a pushover for a protagonist. But I think that the answer is really a little more complex in that if you were to delve into, human psychology and also, what people admire, what attributes people admire in others, and why those attributes resonate with people when they're reading a book. So I think that I see headstrong characters as desirable heroines in YA fantasy books, but really in the YA genre in general. And I think I've seen it quite a bit in romance as well. And when I'm talking about headstrong, I'm not talking about someone who is so stubborn that they're annoying you, that you can't read it without thinking this person is a super duper jerk. Like I don't like this character because they're so headstrong that they're running blindly ahead without listening to other people. But it's the type of headstrong where you've got strong female leads who are, willing to overcome obstacles. And that's not to say that they don't start out a little weak. I've read books where a female protagonist, starts out as a pushover, starts out as someone who's either oppressed in some way or someone who has no boundaries and doesn't know how to say no. They can't say no to their friends or their family. And they go on this, self-discovery, this journey of self-discovery where they become stronger emotionally, where they become more secure within themselves. And we see this amazing character growth that is very important for readers to follow. And it builds character development as well. So it could be a weakness, but by the end of the book, it needs to be a strength. And those are great books because we're always rooting for the underdog. So maybe the protagonist isn't headstrong in the beginning and isn't necessarily strong in the beginning. They're the underdog, or they're the one who's being picked on and bullied, or the one who can't commit to a decision, or the one who can't follow their dreams, or is just too afraid to sing or dance, or afraid to ask that girl out or that boy out, or they let all these fears get in the way, but they have this journey of progression, and they soon become this person that we admire, that we relate to. And I think it's very important that if your character starts out as headstrong, that there are some flaws and personality weaknesses as well, because nobody can relate to a perfect character. That's too hard. We need to have, your protagonist needs to have, 1 to 2 strengths and attributes that we admire, heroic qualities, and then a few human frailties that makes them human, that makes them relatable. But, by the end of it, there needs to be some kind of metamorphosis by the end of the book where, we've talked about goals and achieving goals, but it's also really important that there is an internal growth, not just external. That the character has learned something or experienced something that touches us and helps us. Even if it's a funny book, even if it's lighthearted, there's still growth there. Now, the reason why I think headstrong females are so popular is because there are so many females out there who want to be that individual, because we admire those qualities and those characteristics in these women or in others. Usually it tends to be because we feel repressed, or maybe we are afraid of everything. Maybe we are so afraid to pursue our dreams because we feel we're not good enough. People who don't write a book but have always wanted to, they're held back by fear. People who have always wanted to, go after a job interview, but they're afraid to apply, or there are women out there who feel repressed because of abusive situations, who feel that they can't say no. They may relate to these weaknesses and feel like, if someone in a fictional book can do all of these great things and be that headstrong individual that blasts down obstacles, that fights for what they believe in, that goes after their dreams, that succeeds in what they do, maybe not in everything, realistically, it needs to be realistic. That is so appealing to female characters. It's also appealing, or it's it's appealing to female readers, but it's also appealing to males as well, because any adventure book, any, you know, crime novel, the lead character, the man, could have some insecurities, but you know, for the most part, he's a tough dude, he's a strong dude, he's headstrong, he's not going to let anybody tell him what to do. And you know, these different character archetypes, you know, that he's the boss, or has a very strong conviction of what's right and wrong. A lot of people relate to that. So you have to, it's a study in human psychology, really, you know, trying to figure out that balance in the story of what is popular to people based on what people admire most. And that starts with you. You need to sit down and ask yourself, what heroic quality or attribute do I admire the most? What weakness do I see in myself or in others that I would like to overcome? You know, and you just make a list, and you can form the basics of a great character based on that, or a character archetype based on that. And when you there are books out there on Amazon that you can read that study the various archetypes that are used frequently in books, and why those archetypes work, and why specific archetypes work together as like a protagonist and a villain, or a protagonist and the love interest, you know. And when you really, you know, get down to it, why is being headstrong desirable? Because a lot of people wish that they could be headstrong, in a sense, wish that they could be so headstrong as to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. Being headstrong means they're not afraid. Being headstrong means they're not going to back down from a fight. Being headstrong means they're not going to avoid confrontation. There are so many times when people think to themselves, oh, I should have said that, you know, when they're in a situation where, you know, they've confronted someone, or someone's confronted them, and they freeze and they don't know how to say it. So these characters are living lives and doing things we wish we could do. And that is what makes a character larger than life. That's what makes these traits so desirable. That is why people read books, to escape kind of their own frailties and weaknesses, and read about someone else overcoming the things that we would like to overcome. So I'm going to put a link below that will give you a reference on Amazon, or a link to a couple of books on Amazon about character archetypes. But I think that this is very important. Everybody needs to recognize that when developing characters, you've got to figure out who your target market is, and you got to see what your readers in that market and within those subcategories are responding to. And in my YA urban fantasy genre, these, you know, readers are responding to headstrong females, strong females who are ready to fight, who are ready to take on what they need to take on. They're selfless, but they're also a little insecure sometimes. Sometimes they're a little too headstrong for their own good, and they need to be knocked down a peg. But these types of characters are resonating with these audiences. So study the market, figure out in your genre what works for you by, again, you know, reading 10 books in that genre, and study these characters and see what attributes are working and what aren't. And that's all I have for you for today. Really good questions that I get asked on Quora, and really good questions that I get asked through emails, and even in the comments section here on YouTube. So I love answering these questions. I hope you guys have more. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have other questions about character development, you know, anything else. Let me know, and I will be happy to answer. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.